Former Army Ranger player defies Black Steelers coach's sick new anthem order and runs onto field with big surprise after President Donald Trump's comments at a Friday rally where he called for NFL owners to fire any player who protests during the national anthem. Most teams responded on Sunday by having a show of unity while the anthem was played. But the third-rate Pittsburg Steelers coach decided to be a thug instead. Before the team's game in Chicago against the Bears today, Steelers coach Mike Tomlin decided that the Steelers would remain in their locker room while the national anthem was sung. And sadly, the whole team did. All except one player who is today being branded a hero for the cause of patriotism. Alejandro Villanueva, a retired Army Ranger who did 3 tours in Afghanistan, was the only Steeler to come out for the national anthem. Standing in the tunnel all by himself in attention and with his hand on his heart while the anthem was being played. It's a sight that brings tears to the eyes of any patriotic American. Since Villanueva knows the cost of freedom, I am sure he probably told Tomlin to stick his bull crap where the sun doesn't shine. It must have been epic, and it proves how brave this hero really is. I wonder if he will get some kind of slap on the wrist for doing what's right for our nation's colors? Former Army Ranger Alejandro Villanueva did 3 tours in Afghanistan. The Steelers got some karmic payback as they were booed when they came onto the field after the anthem was sung. The whole Chicago Bears team stood at attention. But if you study the above video, you can see that the black players were locking arms instead of putting their right hands on their hearts, if they have any heart, that is. CT Post reports, President's criticisms spark more protests at NFL games. President Donald Trump's comments about owners firing players who kneel during the national anthem sparked a mass increase in such protests around the National Football League Sunday, as more than 100 players sat, knelt, or raised their fists in defiance during early games. A week ago, just 4 players sat and 2 raised their fists. Defensive star Von Miller was among the majority of Denver Broncos who took a knee in Buffalo, where Bills running back LeSean McCoy stretched during the Star-Spangled Banner. In Chicago, the entire Pittsburgh Steelers team stayed in the tunnel. Tom Brady was among the New England Patriots who locked arms in solidarity in Foxborough, Massachusetts. The president's comments turned the anthems usually sung during commercials into must-watch television shown live by the networks and Yahoo, which streamed the game in London. In some NFL stadiums, crowds booed or yelled at players to stand. There was also some applause. NFL players, coaches, owners and executives used the anthems to show solidarity in their defiance to Trump's criticism. In Detroit, anthem singer Rick Lavelle took a knee at the word brave, lowering his head and raising his right fist into the air. Jets chairman and CEO Christopher Johnson, whose brother, Woody, is the ambassador to England and one of Trump's most ardent supporters, called it an honor and a privilege to stand arm in arm unified with our players during today's national anthem in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The issue reverberated across the Atlantic, where about 24 players, including Ravens linebacker Terrell Suggs and Jaguars running back Leonard Fournette, took a knee during the playing of the U.S. anthem at Wembley Stadium. Jaguars owner Shad Khan and players on both teams who were not kneeling remained locked arm in arm throughout the playing of the anthem and God Save the Queen. No players were knelt during the British anthem. A handful of NFL players have refused to stand during the anthem to protest several issues, including police brutality. But that number ballooned Sunday following Trump's 2-day weekend rant that began with the president calling for NFL protesters to be fired and continued Saturday with the president rescinding a White House invitation for the NBA champion Golden State Warriors over star Stephen Curry's critical comments of him. The movement started more than a year ago when former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick refused to stand during the national anthem as a protest to police treatment of racial minorities. This season, no team has signed him, and some supporters believe NFL owners are avoiding him because of the controversy. A handful of Miami Dolphins players wore black t-shirts supporting Kaepernick during pre-game warm ups. The shirts have #ImWithCap written in bold white lettering on the front. Trump's targeting of top professional athletes in football and basketball brought swift condemnation from executives and players in the National Football League and the National Basketball Association. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin defended Trump's attacks Sunday, saying on ABC's This Week that the president thinks owners should have a rule that players should have to stand in respect for the national anthem. Mnuchin added that they can do free speech on their own time. The National Hockey League's reigning champion Pittsburgh Penguins announced Sunday they've accepted a White House invitation from Trump. In a statement released Sunday morning, the Penguins said they respect the office of the president and the long tradition of championship team visiting the White House. Any agreement or disagreement with the president's politics, policies, or agenda can be expressed in other ways, the Penguins said. However, we very much respect the rights of other individuals and groups to express themselves as they see fit. Sports hasn't been immune from America's deep political rifts, but the president's delving into the NFL protests started by Colin Kaepernick a year ago brought new attention to the protests. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, you'd say, "Get that son of a bitch off the field right now." Out. He's fired, Trump said to loud applause Friday night at a rally in Huntsville, Alabama. If NFL fans refuse to go to games until players stop disrespecting our flag and country, you will see change take place fast. Fire or suspend, Trump said in a Sunday morning tweet. Trump also mocked the league's crackdown on illegal hits, suggesting the league had softened because of its safety initiatives, which stem from an increased awareness of the devastating effects of repeated hits to the head. Khan, who was among the NFL owners who chipped in $1 million to the Trump Inauguration Committee, said he met with his team captains before kickoff in London to express my support for them, all NFL players and the league following the divisive and contentious remarks made by President Trump. Trump's comments drew sharp responses from some of the nation's top athletes, with LeBron James calling the president a bum. Hours later, Major League Baseball saw its first player take a knee during the national anthem. The NFL, its players, often at odds, have been united in condemning the president's criticisms. Patriots owner Robert Kraft, who's been a strong supporter of the president, expressed deep disappointment with Trump. The NFL, meanwhile, said it would re-air a unity spot called Inside These Lines during its Sunday night game between Oakland and Washington on NBC. Inside These Lines is a 60-second video that highlights the power of football to bring people together. I truly don't understand why ball tossers who on average make $2.5 million a year hate this nation so damn much. Do they feel that nations in Africa would pay them to do what they do for a living? I would love to see them go over there and try to make even a decent living off of what they do. It would be hilarious to watch them try to negotiate their contracts. Please share if you are boycotting the NFL, NBA, and MLB over this disrespect of our nation and flag.